Let's talk about one of the biggest, most exciting challenges in healthcare today: how we actually bring AI into our hospitals and clinics. It's really not a question of if anymore, but how. How do you buy an AI system responsibly, safely, and in a way that truly, genuinely helps patients?
Okay, let's get one thing crystal clear right from the get-go. Buying an AI solution is not just another IT project. It's not like ordering new computers or a new billing system. The stakes are just infinitely higher. The risks are completely new, and the impact on patient lives, it's direct, it's immediate, and it is profound.
So, how in the world do we get this right? Well, in this explainer, we've got a really clear roadmap for you. First, we're going to break down why AI is so different. Then we'll lay out the guiding principles that should be your North Star. After that, we'll walk through a practical 4-step process, talk about managing the biggest risks, and finally, we'll boil it all down into the key takeaways you can act on today.
All right, first things first. Why all the fuss? What is it that makes buying an AI system for a hospital so radically different from, say, a new patient management system?
You know, with AI, the challenges are in a completely different league. Of course, you have the direct patient safety risks and the incredible sensitivity of health data. But then you get these really unique issues, like something called model drift. It's this bizarre idea that an AI's performance can actually get worse over time, almost like a skill that gets rusty if it's not constantly updated on new data. And on top of all that, you have to tackle algorithmic bias, navigate a regulatory landscape that's changing by the day, and, maybe most importantly, build real trust with both your clinicians and your patients.
This visual right here gets to the absolute core of the difference. See, traditional software is like a calculator. It's deterministic. You put in 2 plus 2, it follows a fixed rule, and it gives you 4, every single time. But AI is probabilistic. It's much more like a seasoned detective. It looks at all the evidence, the data, and it makes a highly educated guess, a probability. And that fundamental shift, from absolute certainty to calculated probability, it changes everything about how we have to test, validate, and ultimately trust these systems. So, in this new world of probabilities, how do we find our way? Well, we need a compass, right? A North Star. That means we have to establish a set of core guiding principles to anchor every single decision we make.
These first 4 principles are your bedrock. Number 1, foster innovation. This means instead of telling vendors, hey, build us this specific hammer, you describe the nail you need to hit. You'll be amazed at the creative solutions that come back. Number 2, and this is absolutely non-negotiable, prioritize patient outcomes. If it doesn't help the patient, it's not worth doing, period. 3, embed legislation and compliance right from the start to avoid really dangerous mistakes later on. And 4, you have to demand rock-solid data governance. Data is the lifeblood of AI, and you need to be in control of it.
Okay, so now we turn those foundations into real action. You've got to support diverse teams because a homogeneous team simply can't spot the biases that will affect a diverse patient population. You must ensure accountability by always, and I mean always, keeping a human in the loop for those critical decisions. You have to require constant testing and monitoring even after the system goes live to catch that model drift we talked about. And finally, you have to foster fair competition by demanding systems that can talk to each other so you're never held hostage by a single vendor.
All right, with our principles set, it's time to build the roadmap. What does this journey actually look like? From that first spark of an idea to a fully functioning AI tool helping people in your hospital.
The whole journey really breaks down into 4 key phases. You start with planning. What's the actual clinical problem we're trying to solve? Then comes selection, where you vet all the potential vendors against those principles we just covered. Phase 3, contracting, is where things get really different from what you're used to. You have to negotiate totally new terms, like who's liable if the AI makes a mistake. And finally, phase 4 is management. This is so critical. With AI, the job isn't done at go live. It requires constant care and feeding for its entire life cycle. And woven through every single stage of that roadmap is the job of actively managing risk. So let's zoom in on how to tackle some of the biggest threats before they ever become problems.
The key here, the real game changer, is being proactive. You don't just wait for problems to pop up. For every single risk, you have to have a mitigation strategy built right into the contract. So you're worried about privacy. You verify compliance before you sign anything. Worried about bias? You mandate assessments and demand to see the training data. Worried about security? You require industry-standard certifications and a clear disaster recovery plan. You don't just hope for the best, you contract for.
Phew,
Okay, we have covered a huge amount of ground in a really short time. So let's bring it all home and distill this down to the most essential practical things you need to remember. If you walk away with nothing else today, please remember this. 1. Start with the problem, not the shiny new technology. AI is a tool, not a solution looking for a problem. 2. Prioritize patient outcomes. That is the only return on investment that truly matters here. 3. Maintain human oversight. AI assists, it does not replace clinical judgment. 4. Demand transparency. You have a right to know how the tools you're using actually work. And 5. Build strong governance. This technology is way too powerful to be managed in some ad hoc, informal way. And it's important to note, this whole structured approach isn't just some abstract idea. It's a comprehensive framework that was developed by Dr. Mustafa Bouatan to give healthcare leaders a truly actionable guide. For a much deeper dive, you can learn more by connecting directly with him on LinkedIn.
And all of this leaves us with one final and really critical question. Look, this isn't about whether you'll adopt AI. That's pretty much inevitable at this point. The real question is whether your organization is truly prepared to do it the right way, with the diligence, the foresight, and the care that your patients absolutely deserve.